Hey everybody, my name is Asia and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing my July TBR. I'm really excited for this upcoming month because it's going to be a little bit more chill. Last month I hosted the Tarot Readathon, which is a month-long readathon, which I loved because I can mood read a lot, but it was still a month-long readathon. So I'm excited that this month's going to be a little calmer. And so the only thing I'm really participating in is Summerween, and at the beginning of the month I am a co-host for the 24-hour horror-a-thon, and that is going from 8 p.m. on the 30th to 8 p.m. on the 1st, so it'll cross over a bit into the 1st. And for Summerween I have some tentative ideas of what I would like to read, but I'm not 100% set yet because it kind of also depends on what I get to for the rest of June, because I'm actually filming this really far in advance, and then also it kind of depends on what I read for the 24-hour horror-a-thon and how much I actually get to. So we'll see exactly what I read. I will be doing a Summerween weekly reading vlog, so you should definitely check that out if you want to know exactly what I'm going to be reading when that comes out. And I'm really excited to vlog, and hopefully it'll be really fun. I'm really excited and I like the prompts this year. So first, I always normally start off with my Patreon book and the buzzword-a-thon book for this month. And so for my Patreon, as I said, I'm filming this really far in advance, so I literally have no idea what we're going to be reading. So I'll probably put some of the options that I list later on, but I will pop in editing and let y'all know exactly what book we're going to be reading for my Patreon. And if you would like to read it with us, my Patreon is always linked down below, and we would love to have you. I do a live show discussion and a reading vlog for all of our book picks, so that is definitely going to be down there for you. Editing Deja here to tell you the book club pick for my Patreon. For the month of July, we are going to be reading The Only One Left by Riley Sager, the icon, the king. I have read every single Riley Sager book to date, and I love his work. I have a whole guide to Riley Sager on my channel that I made last year, so if you want to check that out, I will definitely have it linked up in the cards. But The Only One Left is about this woman who becomes a caretaker to this other woman who's like in her like later years. She's definitely elderly, and the only way that she can communicate is through this typewriter. But she was also not convicted, but people were convinced that she was the person that killed her family in a Lizzie Borden like murder situation, and there's like a whole rhyme about her and everything, exactly like Lizzie Borden, where she killed her family. And it actually takes place in the 80s, and when the murders occurred it was like way farther in the past. But I'm really excited that this takes place in the 80s, and I hope it has some 80s vibes or pop culture references or anything like that. And I've heard pretty good things about this one so far, and I'm really excited for it to be discussed, because I think Riley Sager books normally have so much to discuss. They have so many twists and turns. But then for the buzzword-a-thon this month, it is weather words, so words related to the weather: storm, lightning, cloud, something like that. And for this month I'm doing icebreaker. I think that this would be kind of a nice one to break up of all the horror that's going on this month. And this one is a romance, and it is a hockey romance. That's all that I really know about it. I've heard pretty mixed things, and it is a little thick, but I love hockey. I actually used to figure skate for fun. I started really late, like in high school I was doing it, and normally to be actually good at it you need to start when you're like a child. So I wasn't good at it at all, but I had a lot of fun doing it for sure, and I do kind of miss the ice a little bit. For Summerween, as I said, I have a lot of tentative ideas of what I could possibly read, so I'm just going to go through the prompts and tell you kind of my ideas that I have. So the first one that I have is read a book in the dark, and for this one I might go with Dark Harvest. I heard a lot about this one last year, and the reason I said to read it in the dark is because I can read it on my Kindle. I don't physically own it, and it does take place in the Halloween time, so I thought this one might be kind of nice to read. For Summerween, I mean, there is actually a prompt on here to read a book in the fall, and I feel like I have very like fall books on here that I'm not putting for that prompt, like this one. Also, next is the prompt read a thriller, and this is the one that I literally don't know. I grabbed 3 of my physical thrillers right here, but I have way more. Obviously I've hidden pictures, which is this a horror or thriller? I don't even know. But then I have Just Like Mother and 13 as well. And so those are kind of like some thrillers at the top of my list currently that I physically own that I might potentially put for this. And then for read a book set in the fall, I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to go with, and that is the Saturday Night Ghost Club. This one does take place in the fall, and it takes place in the 1980s. I have heard it's more of like a coming of age story, but it is a horror, and it says a lot of things about like Stranger Things. This was actually the $5 book pick for the Barnes & Noble Cafe, and I saw it and just picked it up, and then I've been hearing everybody talk about it since I grabbed it. So I feel like it's kind of a sign that I need to read it. The next prompt is to read a book that has black or orange on the cover, and for this one I think I'm going to go with Camp Slaughter. This one has some slight like gray black tones on the front if you look at the cabin, but this one does take place in the summer, and I've actually really been wanting to read this. I have a couple other slashers that I do want to get to that aren't as short, so we'll see if I can actually get to them during the week or not, but this is one that I definitely want to prioritize because I've wanted to read it since I first heard about it. I know it takes place in a cabin in the summer, and it's a slasher, and I think it might have cannibalism in it. I'm not sure, but it sounds really, really good, and it's by an author of color. Then the last prompt for summerween is to read a graphic novel, manga, or novella, and I have a ton of novellas that I have on my TBR, and I have a whole bunch of them listed out for the 24-hour horror-a-thon, but I don't know how many I'm going to get to, so I have a whole list and I don't really want to spoil that. So one that I know that I will not read during that readathon in case I get through every single thing, the one that I know that I will not read during that readathon is Halloween Fiend. This one is pretty short as well. It's less than 200 pages, like 150 I think, and this one is another one that takes place around Halloween. I heard that's kind of like folk horror, so we'll see if I get to this one or not. I have a lot of big plans for July of reading a lot of books, and I have some other reading vlogs coming as well. So that is my TBR for Summerween. Tentative, very, 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 very tentative, especially because I'm filming this literally so far in advance. As you guys probably know, if you have been around on my channel for a little bit, I do a TBR spinner wheel every single month to decide my TBR, and I'm still going to be doing that, but I'm also going to be introducing a TBR jar. And normally I do like 6 to 7 spins on my TBR wheel, but I decided to do 5 this month so I can pull one book from this TBR jar. And this has basically every single book that I own in it, except like the very most recent ones I haven't put in here yet. But it has a little key at the bottom of all what the different colors mean. There's a ton. I really don't want to get green because green is YA fantasy, and I literally don't. Maybe I should go over all the categories with y'all. So, light green is YA fantasy. Dark green is sci-fi / dystopian. Yellow is adult, contemporary, or literary fiction. Then light orange is YA or middle grade contemporary or romance. Then orange is historical fiction or historical romance. Red is classics / nonfiction. The blue is thriller and mystery. The more magenta, darker pink is contemporary romance or dark romance. The lighter pink is paranormal romance or fantasy romance. The lighter, more blue tone purple is horror. And then the pinker, darker purple is adult or new adult fantasy. So there's a lot of light green in here because I have a lot of YA fantasy that I physically own that I haven't read. But that's kind of like the point, is to make me read books that I don't typically go for. You can see I have a lot of books on my TBR. So we're just really going to dig up in here. I'm not looking, y'all. I'm not looking. Okay, I'm going to go... Oh gosh. I feel like they're all about to come out with my arm. Oh gosh, I don't know. Okay, this one feels good. Oh gosh, they're all about to come out. Oh gosh. Did one fall? Yeah, a couple fell. Okay, okay, we have a blue. We have a thriller or mystery. That's what I thought. I wanted to double check. Okay. I have G19. So, what this means, I literally forgot about this part. Not me thinking that I literally wrote on here, well knowing that I did not. So, basically what I have is a spreadsheet that has every single book that I own, and it has obviously a number for the row and then a letter for the column, and so I wrote down that it is Dark Roads by Chevy Stevens. I'm just gonna pop in the cover because it's all the way downstairs, but I literally have know nothing about this book. I just have heard of the author before, so that's what I have to read this month. Hopefully I actually get to it because I'm not very good at getting to books that I don't want to read, so we'll see. So now we are going to get into the actual spins. The very first spin, we have a book by a queer author. So the first one was a queer author, and for that I'm going to go with Salt Slow by Julia Armfield. I'm assuming this is horror, but I'm not exactly sure. Oh yeah, it says it's a blend of horror, science fiction, mythology, and feminism. And this is a collection of short stories from Julia Armfield, who wrote Our Wives Under the Sea, which I really, really loved. So I knew that I had to pick this one up, and Julia Armfield is a queer author. So I'm really excited to try this out because I actually haven't read that many short story collections or anthologies. So I'm excited to pick up some more. Moving on to the second spin. We have a paperback. The second spin was a paperback, so for that one I'm going to go with Icebreaker, and I'm just going to fit this one in to, you know, double up a little bit, you know, help myself out. So as I said, this one is a hockey figure skating romance, and that's all that I really know about it, and it was really popular on like Bookstagram and Book Talk. Next up is the third spin. We have a book on my 12 books to read by 12 friends in 12 months challenge. So for the 12 challenge, I have a lot of different options, so I might not go with this one. I just kind of went with this one because it's a little big and intimidating, but also kind of fits the vibes for this month, and that is The Violence by Delilah S. Dawson. This one I believe is about kind of like this illness that makes people get violent. And I've heard pretty good things about it, even though it is a little chunky, and Sarah from Sarah Shelves is the one that recommended this to me. Thank you for forcing me to read it, Sarah. I'm hoping that I love it, because Sarah and I have very different reading tastes, so I don't know if this is one that she loved and she's giving to me, or if she thinks that I'm gonna love this one. Moving on to the fourth spin. We have a book off my own TBR. The next one is a book off my own TBR, and for that one I'm going to go with Pen Pal. This is one I've been meaning to read since literally the beginning of the year. I put it on so many TBRs and I haven't gotten to it. This is the month. I promise you I'm reading this one. I might even try and squeeze this into Summerween because I just want to read it and I want to kind of document it. But this one is about this man that's kind of making sense of his childhood and past, and that's all that I really know. I'm assuming he might have a pen pal, and I've heard that it's super creepy. And lastly, we're going to be doing the fifth spin. We have a TBR vet. For this one, I literally have so many books that I've owned for so long, so I don't even know what I would consider a vet. Like, is 2 years a vet? Is 3 years a vet? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? I don't know, but this one, I could not tell you how long I've had this book. I've known that I had it for... oh gosh, how old am I? I've had this one for at least 5 years minimum, I promise you. So I think this one definitely counts, and that is Amy and Roger's Epic Detour by Morgan Matson. I know this one's kind of out of the box, but I'm trying to get to a lot more of my YA contemporary and YA fantasy that I still own because I've decluttered a lot. So the ones that I have, I should be interested enough to read. This one I know is about a road trip, so I'm hoping that it takes place like summer and gives kind of summer vibes, which is why I picked it. So I own a lot of Morgan Matson still. I've only read one, so I'm hoping that I like this, and if I don't, then I might have to get rid of all the other ones that I haven't read. So that's my TBR for this month. Besides like the spinner wheel and everything like that, my Summerween TBR is very much up in the air because I literally am filming this so far in advance, as I keep saying. I just already had all of this set up, and this took me forever to set up to make cute. So I was like, I might as well just film it because I don't have any other sit down videos to film for a while until my wrap up. So I was like, I might as well film my TBR while I'm here. I hope that y'all enjoyed this video. I had such a good time doing this TBR this month. If you made it to the end, put a little pen emoji down below because of Pen Pal, because I'm finally going to get to it this month whether I like it or not. And I will see y'all in my next one. Bye everybody. Trying to look like you're winning. I'm writing rhymes in the kitchen, soaking the moments we live in, yeah. You got the nerve to be on me.